Hi, I'm Valerie Engelhart, and in this video I'm going to paint a pair of bright, zesty lemons. Now, I have not sped this video up at all. This only takes a little over 5 minutes to do. As you saw, I just used my hand to measure out, because I don't sketch first, and so I'm trying to decide how big to make my lemons so that it fits on the page, because I have a tendency to paint too big. I've got a plate of 3 colors, so I'm using primary colors today, all by Daniel Smith. Oh no, wait, that's a lie. One of them's not. So Daniel Smith, Nickel Azo Yellow, Daniel Smith, Quinacridone Magenta, but my blue is a Winsor & Newton color, Phthalo Turquoise. So I'm starting their lemons, starting with the yellow. I painted the outline and then used water to soften that yellow inwards so that there's kind of a natural shine going on. Now, part of what I'm challenging myself to do in this is to only use these 3 colors because they've been sitting out for a while and I want to use them up before I wash that plate. And I don't want to mix the colors on my plate. I want any mixing that happens to be on my paper. And I just think that might help them look fun and fresh and modern. And did I say fun? Because fun is really what I'm going for here. And all this is a nice little warm-up on a piece of Fabriano 1264 student grade watercolor paper. So I am not worried about anything. I am just here to play with these bright, almost tropical colors. And since I'm not mixing anything first, I'm not going for green leaves. I am using that turquoise color. And I'm using a size 8 Da Vinci Cosmotop Spin watercolor brush. Now I did say I was willing to mix on the paper, so I put down the blue and I'm dropping in some of that yellow. Why am I doing that? Because it makes green. And because it's wet, it's going to merge and fuse, but some areas are going to stay blue, some are going to be more yellow, and then we're going to get a lovely, really bright green in some of those areas. And so I am just putting down the paint and letting the watercolor do its thing. So now I'm going up to the upper lemon. In my reference photo, which I have included a link in the description below, I want there to be connection between these lemons, so I'm having them touch. In the photo, I don't think they touch, but I'm the artist. I can change the position of that lemon. I didn't leave enough highlight on my lemon, so using a thirsty brush, I have lifted off some of that yellow paint, and then I would dab the pigment off on my paper towel. Whenever I paint, I always have a paper towel so that I can adjust the water content of my brush. And then just going in with the magenta, I'm using the magenta to create the shadows on my lemon, and it gives it a very warm shadow. Shadows don't have to be blue, and they don't have to be cool. Oh, cool in tone. They need to be totally cool for a fun painting. Wink, if you know what I mean. Popping in a little more yellow just because, well, whenever you add that stronger nickel azo yellow, you do get a slight variation on that yellow. And another fun thing about working with the student grade paper is it dries in a different way than like 100% cotton professional watercolor paper. And so you can get some really interesting textures, which works really well for these quick painting studies. And another reason I am enjoying this process and painting it the way I am, because even though I am a loose painter who doesn't sketch things first, notice in this painting, I'm not softening and bleeding my edges away. These are all found edges. And the reason I'm doing that is I am also a surface pattern designer. I make patterns for like wallpaper, bedding, fabric, etc. And these colors are so much fun that I was like, oh my gosh, I could probably turn this into a wallpaper later. So in order for me to work on that digitally, I need to leave hard edges. It just makes it so much easier to isolate the motifs later in Photoshop. So even though I didn't start this painting with the idea of making a pattern from it later, I realized it after the first lemon and went, oh, this could be really tropical and fun. I did add a little bit of that magenta into the leaves to create kind of a stem, but while those leaves were wet, so it, again, bleeds and diffuses. I really love that quality of watercolor. Now, if I were to like mix and mix and mix and go back in, those colors could get muddy and just unappealing looking. So I do recommend drop it and leave it. Let the paint do its thing. Let it work its magic. You will be rewarded. And here's the finished painting. If you liked this video, press that like button so I know to make more like it. And if you want to see more, subscribe because I post videos every Monday and Thursday. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.